Today we're driving the unsung hero of our family garage. This is our 2021 Toyota Highlander Hybrid Limited. It's my wife's daily driver. It's what we use to haul the kids to and from school every single day. It's reliably, dutifully, and efficiently served us for the last 4 years and 47,000 miles. We bought it as a press car from Toyota in February of 2022. And it's just been a fantastic family vehicle. I think our favorite thing about this Highlander is just that it's kind of the perfect size for all of the people and kids and stuff. It fits a rearward-facing car seat really, really well. It gets great fuel range, tons of mileage on a tank, and it's been reasonably fuel efficient, although a little bit under the EPA ratings in our ownership. In the wintertime, it gets about 27, 28 miles to the gallon. In the summer, about 32, which we're pretty happy with for a 3-row crossover in this class. Let's start it up and talk about what this has been like to own for the last 4 years. This car hasn't gotten a lot of love on the channel, mostly because it doesn't really need anything. I give it oil changes every 5,000 miles or so. It's gone in for a couple recalls and maintenance items here and there, but for the most part, it's been pretty flawless and pretty uneventful of an ownership experience. It's not something that I'm modifying and changing and tweaking or doing exciting things with. It just kind of serves us in the background every day, and it's great for that. It's also kind of refreshing for me, being an enthusiast, driving a car that completely blends in and that no one notices. We've got a set of slightly smaller wheels on this Highlander. You guys may notice this is a Limited. The Limited comes standard with a set of 20s. These are the 18s. I found these on Facebook Marketplace and wanted a little bit more sidewall for our Michigan roads, extra pothole protection, and I think we may have gained an MPG or two versus the 20-inch wheels at the pump. Who knows? We first replaced the 20s with a set of Bridgestone Alenza AS Ultra tires. Those served us very well for about 35,000 miles, and they wore out a little bit prematurely, but we've just replaced them with a set of Bridgestone Alenza Prestige tires. So a very similar looking tread design, but these have a 70,000 mile tread life warranty. They've performed really, really well all winter. Fantastic snow traction. They're really quiet, and they seem to ride a little bit softer than the previous Alenza AS Ultras. So we'll talk a little bit more about the tire once we get on the road. The only other changes that I've made to this Highlander is that it came with a set of running boards, which were the most useless and annoying things ever because they pretty much just jutted out right here. And I guess aside from kids getting in and out of the car, they didn't really serve a purpose except just to kind of dirty up the back of your leg. So one of the first things I did after the wheels was I removed those and got this replacement plastic piece right here, and that's been great. You'll notice a lot of the press cars that we get from Toyota, from Lexus, have those running boards as an accessory just to kind of showcase them as an accessory, but I wouldn't recommend them on a Toyota Highlander or Lexus RX, etc. It's interesting because Toyota just announced that the Highlander going forward is going to be an EV only. The Grand Highlander will continue as we know it, as a hybrid, as an internal combustion engine vehicle, but the Highlander will be an EV, and I think that's a little bit of a shame because this is kind of the perfect formula for a family vehicle. It's got plenty of space in the back, it's fuel efficient, it's got great range. The Grand Highlander is a little bit larger, and granted, if you're using a third row, you need it. The third row on the back of this Highlander, we've barely used it. It is kind of tight. Let's see, I'll pull it up. Because we have car seats in the back, I usually access it from the trunk. And you get a decent amount of space behind the third row. But still, legroom is limited, and it's just not really a place you want to spend time in, except for in a pinch. But back here, there's plenty of room for strollers, stuff you're taking on vacation, dog, etc. And that's fantastic. There's even a little bit more storage space under here. Cargo cover, tire irons, etc. It's funny, actually, I didn't even know we had a cargo cover for this Highlander, so that's good to see. Just discovered it after 4 years. We have a 120 volt, 1500 watt outlet in the back, which we've also never used, a JBL sound system, which we use all the time and sounds fantastic, and a third row that, again, we don't really use very much. I did install a tow hitch. It's not wired, but I mostly just used it, actually I only just used it for mountain biking. I had a mountain bike rack that plugged into the back of it, and that worked great for before I got my Ranger Raptor. This has been driven all throughout the winter. You can't really see a whole lot, but it's gotten a little bit crusty with suspension components, etc. Nothing too bad, but more surface rust, or at least a lot more surface rust than I've seen on my previous vehicles that I've taken to Crown Rust Control. This I've never taken to Crown, and you can definitely tell the difference. Paint, interior, exterior, everything's held up pretty well on this Highlander. The interior quality of these Toyotas is really fantastic. The white seats don't show any staining from jeans, etc. The interior, aside from just maybe a little bit of polishing on the steering wheel, shows virtually no wear, which is really, really impressive. Even on this armrest, it looks pretty fresh. We don't really clean or detail this regularly. The floor mat needs a little bit of salt dissolver spray and a good power wash, but honestly, I'm very surprised at how well this is held up over almost 50,000 miles of daily use. My wife, our kids are all pretty neat, so maybe that's a factor too. They're not the messiest group of people, so this car has stayed pretty clean given that it is a family vehicle. I like the rear window shades. Nice to put those in if the kids are napping on a road trip or what have you. It's not the best looking car, but I think in this blue, it's one of the better looking variants. The front end looks like it kind of has a French mustache. I guess they did refresh the Highlander a couple years ago, but most of those changes were with the interior. We actually just drove a 2025 Highlander not too long ago, and you could see where some of the changes came through. They added a digital gauge cluster. I prefer this analog speedometer and eco power meter, if I'm being honest, and they made some changes here and down here in terms of just button placement, wireless charger placement. They moved it from here, which is a terrible location, to here, which makes a lot more sense. And then they changed up the climate control buttons, which I actually prefer in the newer cars. My only complaint with this climate control panel is that you don't have an option to engage air circulation, which you have to go into this menu here for. So not a major deal, but if you're following a stinky truck or something, you can't do that quickly. You have to do a couple inputs if you're selecting another menu over here. CarPlay is wired, not wireless, though you could always just go on Amazon and get a $40 wireless CarPlay adapter. Haven't bothered to really do that. The JBL sound system is fantastic. The interior ergonomics in here are awesome, just lots of physical buttons for everything. Mostly drive this around in normal mode. Eco mode automatically engages eco climate control. In the winter, it makes the heat take forever to come on, and in the summer it kind of dulls down the air conditioning enough to not really cool off the cabin. So I prefer driving this in normal. You do have EV mode, which we use a lot in the car pickup and drop-off line for dropping the kids off at school. So engage that. EV mode will enable, and you can just kind of idle through without burning up all of your precious and now expensive gasoline. Before we set off, let me show you guys the back seat. So here are the car seats that we have. They rattle around a bunch. You'll probably hear them in this video. The thing I like about the Highlander back seats is that there's just enough room with my height and my wife's height that the kids can kind of move around back in here. I can load both kids in on one side. So our 2-year-old, I just pop him in here. Our 4-year-old slides through here when this seat goes sideways and is able to buckle himself in. And my Ranger Raptor, that's kind of a tight fit. There's enough space in the back. I'm able to recline a little bit and have a very comfortable driving position with this rearward facing seat. It all just works super, super well. I think a lot of families would probably prefer the captain's chairs, but this bench was what was available to us, and it's been just fine. We've been very happy with it. Maybe third row access isn't ideal, but we've barely even used a third row in this Highlander. Maybe we've used it twice for hauling around grandparents. Even so, it's not something that we do on a regular basis. If we did need the third row, we'd go for the Grand Highlander. It's been cheap to run, takes regular 87 octane fuel, costs 30 to 40 bucks to fill up, and we get about 350 to 400 miles out of a tank. And that's mostly city driving. We don't drive a lot of long distances in this car, occasional trips out to Kalamazoo or on road trips, but for the most part, it's been local city driving. Really the biggest complaint that we've had driving this car dynamically is just the brakes at lower speeds. They can be a bit inconsistent, a bit under or over grabby, but once you get going, get a little bit of temperature in the pad, they seem to be fine when you're on the move. They feel kind of like that typical hybrid squish that you get from most Toyota hybrid braking systems these days. Easy to modulate once you're up to speed. The engine can be a little bit drony when you get going, especially when merging onto the highway, but it seems to be about as quiet as the new Highlander that we drove. They might have quieted it down, added a little bit more sound deadening with the refresh. For normal driving, it's just fine. This Highlander is pretty easy to drive around. All of your inputs are light. It feels pretty nimble for being a heavier hybrid vehicle. Compared to a 4Runner, my old GX, the Ranger Raptor, it's very, very easy to pilot around and very low effort to drive. We'll give it full power here. Enough passing power for this Highlander hybrid. This 2.5 liter is pretty reliable. Haven't heard of too many issues with this powertrain. We have an electric motor powering the rear axle. Winter traction is fantastic. Cruise control, adaptive cruise control, works quite well on road trips. We use that a lot. Haven't used the lane centering as much. It's a decent system if you need to take your eyes off the road for a couple seconds, but for the most part, it's not really, close to like a level 2 autonomous system or something like that. Driving position is really nice. We love that there are 2C memory settings over here, so my wife and I can just quickly switch between our driving and mirror positions when we get in the car. Wind noise, road noise, all pretty quiet at speed. Seats are reasonably comfortable too. Let's talk some more about these Bridgestone Lenza Prestige tires. So, super quiet on the highway. I don't review a lot of standard passenger vehicle tires. A lot of the tires that we review are extreme summer performance, all-terrain tires on the Ranger Raptor, mud terrain tires, and winter tires. And I'm actually very, very impressed with wet weather and cold weather and winter snow traction on these Lenza Prestiges. I didn't really go in expecting a lot from them, considering that they're kind of a premium all-season tire, but it's amazing what Bridgestone has done with their all-season tires just in this new generation. The tread compound differences, I think, are the most significant change that Bridgestone made with this tire versus the Alenza AS Ultra that it replaced on this car. And I'm noticing a ton of differences in terms of handling, ride quality, and the big ones I think are really just snow traction, along with a longer tread life warranty. The Highlander isn't a very exciting car to drive. It's not very dynamically interesting, though it is quite capable. This Alenza Prestige tire handles great. No major complaints with dry traction or mechanical grip. It definitely seems to be a big improvement over both the standard tire that came on this car and the AS Ultras that it replaced. Really big fan of this hybrid powertrain. I love the torque and the smoothness here. There's a little bit more noise and vibration from this than what we see in some other hybrids out there, even newer Toyota hybrids. But I've said this before, the Highlander was kind of the first Toyota SUV in its kind of newer generation of products that I felt really almost encroached upon Lexus levels of comfort, interior quality, quietness, driving feel. It's a really, really nice package for the money. And you can go out and get one of these days from this year with this trim and it being a hybrid for high 20s, low 30s, mid 30s for a lower mileage example. People absolutely rack the miles on these things. And I can see why. They're reliable, they're cheap to run, and they're just very practical and very well packaged crossovers and SUVs. With some of Toyota's newer SUVs really kind of dropping the ball with packaging and interior space, i.e. 4Runner, Sequoia, the Highlander really has made a lot more sense in recent years. And I think it's one of the best vehicles Toyota makes in terms of packaging and usefulness in the family space, the family vehicle space. It is kind of that perfect size if maybe you just need a third row occasionally, but for the most part you're hauling kids around all the time like we are. Our kids aren't really old enough to have friends who are going to be tagging along with us, so I think eventually we'll probably need something that has a larger third row, and maybe that's when Grand Highlander will fit in well. Or I'd love to convince my wife to get a Sienna, but I don't think it's going to be happening anytime soon. I saw a metric a little while ago that a lot of the minivan purchases are actually made by dads, by men, by younger men these days. And that might have to be my job sometime in the future, depending on what the kids are up to. We're done having kids. We don't want any more. Two's great. And but you know, I might have to go out and get myself a Sienna, slam it, maybe a little bit of a track build, or lift it, bit of an off-road build. Can't decide. We'll see. But for anything short of a minivan, something like this Highlander I think really serves a nice purpose. Other vehicles that we shopped were the Acura MDX. Really interested in that because I love the interior of that car, love the driving dynamics, it looks awesome. However, it just didn't quite have enough room in the second row. It just was a little bit tighter than we would have liked. And this Highlander seems to kind of have that perfect Goldilocks amount of space in the back. I said earlier that we haven't had any issues with this Highlander, and that's mostly been true, except for one thing that I forgot about. It's had to do with the fuel gauge. Now, when we take it to the pump, the nozzle clicks, the car fills up all the way, but most times the gas gauge doesn't read completely full. It's maybe an eighth of a tank below the full mark. And then sometimes it is completely full or beyond full. We still get normal amounts of range out of the tank, but it seems to be inconsistent in how full the fuel is reading or how much fuel that it's letting in. So that was also an issue on the Toyota RAV4 around this time, and it might be an issue on the Highlander. We never really got it looked at because the car was outside of its 3-year, 36,000 mile bumper-to-bumper warranty when I had it at the dealer and remembered to talk to them about it. So it hasn't been a huge deal because I don't think it really affects the amount of fuel that's in the car that much, but just something really to mention. Other annoyances and gripes, there really aren't too many. There are pretty minimal pain points with this new Highlander. Cruise control consistently reads 1 or 2 miles per hour under your set speed versus GPS speed. That's kind of a Toyota thing across the board. Nothing too new there. There have been quite a few rattles with this Highlander, just from the rear seats, the interior, mostly in the back section. The front dashboard, everything in here feels pretty tight. And there's been some elusive rattle outside the car underneath the front, which I haven't really been able to find or diagnose, but it's all pretty subtle and they kind of blend together, so we've gotten used to it. And honestly, these days the loudest rattles just come from our car seats, so we've learned to live with it. I think overall that kind of sums up my thoughts on our Toyota Highlander. There isn't really a whole lot else to talk about here. It's not the most exciting or engaging vehicle to drive. It's a little bit boring, and that's okay. It's comfortable, it's normal, it gets the job done, and it's very safe, it's reliable, it's held its value incredibly well compared to a lot of other competitors in the market. I think that's about all I have to say about the Highlander. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments. That's going to be a wrap on this video and probably on this series. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.